Hello, I'm Henry Keane and we are UATV English, that's right, online giving you the Ukrainian perspective of reality of war. Watch in the episode. Ukrainian drones arrived at the exhibition in Denmark. North Korea sends working labor to Russia. Robert Fico considers Slovakia's neutrality amidst NATO summit. Please comment and subscribe to our channel while watching this episode. By doing so, you help us to fight off Russian aggression. Welcome to the News Pulse. Ukrainian drones have arrived in Odense, Denmark. No worries, what I mean is the International Drone Show, an exhibition showcasing the latest high-tech developments in unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs. Ukraine is presenting its own fixed-wing UAV, the Shark. The Shark drone can stay airborne for up to 4 hours and has a cruising speed of 75 kilometers per hour. The Ukrainian armed forces are currently using this drone extensively on the front lines. Exhibition organizers note that the European drone manufacturer business is gaining a momentum. The surge has been partly fueled by Ukraine's spiderweb operation. In early June, this operation resulted in over 40 Russian aircraft being destroyed or damaged, demonstrating how cost-effective drone technology actually can be highly effective in neutralizing large aviation equipment.
The things changed extraordinary, I would say. They were starting to change from 2014, but after full-scale invasion in 2022. So all the world got that UAVs are not only funny things or something pretty. It is the main tool for the modern warfare. So the demand is huge, immense, and the reaction should be very quick.
The interior ministers of Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, the Nordic countries and Poland have agreed to completely ban Russian citizens who took part in the war against Ukraine from entering the Schengen zone. This decision was made during a meeting in Tallinn on June 19th, according to ERR Media. Also present at the meeting were EU Commissioner for Home Affairs and Migration Magnus Brunner and representative from the EU border agency Frontex.
Hundreds of thousands of Russian citizens fought against an independent European state. We should take a clear position that these people will not be able to travel freely in the Schengen area. We will not give them residence permits, we will not give them visas, because all these people who have been killing and destroying there mean a very big security risk for all of us. Igor Taro, Estonian Interior Minister.
And while the entry for Ukrainian drones is open to European markets, the entry to ban for these Russian citizens is expected to remain in place even after the fighting in Ukraine ends. On June 19th, Ukraine carried out another prisoner swap, bringing back our soldiers, most of whom had been held captive in Russia since 2022. President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed the exchange and provided photos of the results. This swap is a part of a broader agreement to exchange prisoners who are severely wounded or seriously ill, an arrangement reached during talks in Istanbul. Well, it's the only result of the Istanbul peace talks, by the way. Russia is reluctant to agree to any kind of ceasefire despite international pressure, which seems not to be too harsh to make it happen, really. According to Ukraine's coordination headquarters, each Ukrainian defender is suffering serious health issues caused by injuries and the harsh conditions of Russian captivity. Many of them return home with dangerous weight loss due to malnutrition, ulcers, vision problems, musculoskeletal injuries, cardiovascular conditions and digestive disorders.
Our people are returning home from Russian captivity. These are soldiers of the armed forces, the National Guard and the State Border Service. Most of them have been in captivity since 2022. Defenders of Ukraine who fought in Donetsk, Zaporizhia, Luhansk, Kharkiv, Sumy, Chernihiv and Kyiv regions. We are working to bring our people back. Thank you to everyone who helps make these exchanges possible. Our goal is to free every single person. Volodymyr Zelensky, President of Ukraine, on Telegram.
In Istanbul on June 2nd, both sides agreed to proceed with new prisoner swaps covering certain categories of captives under an all-for-all framework. As part of these talks, Kyiv also handed Moscow a list of abducted Ukrainian children. During the negotiations, Ukraine raised three main issues: an unconditional ceasefire, a full prisoner swap, and a meeting of national leaders. None of that, except for prisoner swap, has been accomplished yet, and to get the peace process moving again, a meeting between the leaders is absolutely necessary. This was stated by Ukraine's Deputy Foreign Minister Serhiy Kyslytsa. According to him, without such a direct meeting between Zelensky and Putin, even with US President Donald Trump participation, it is highly unlikely that any groundbreaking decisions will actually be reached.
By and large, apart from agreements on the exchange of prisoners of war, this format cannot significantly change the situation. Given the dictatorial nature of the regime in Russia, only one person is authorized. He authorized himself to make decisions that could end the war or establish a sustainable ceasefire. Serhiy Kyslytsa, First Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, in an interview with Suspilne.
It is indeed a pleasure to see our defenders returning home after years of enemy captivity, often in inhumane conditions. This remains, however, important, but the only result of the Ukraine-Russia peace talks in Turkey as of today. And the further progress will include a full ceasefire. But whether world leaders are really interested in pressuring Russia enough, I won't be so sure. North Korea is reportedly planning to send up to 25,000 labor force to work at a drone manufacturing plant in Russia. In return, North Korea gets a training unmanned aerial vehicles operation. North Korea is getting very ready to send up to 25,000 of its labor force to work at drone manufacturing plants in Russia. In exchange, it is hoping to get a knowledge how to operate unmanned aerial vehicles. According to Japan's broadcaster, the workers are to be deployed to the Alabuga plant in Russia's Republic of Tatarstan. This facility, located in central Russia, produced more than 6,000 combat drones and thousands of decoy drones last year. In 2025, Russians aim to ramp up output between 8,000 to 10,000 kamikaze drones, which will fly at Ukraine, no doubt about that, or even at NATO countries.
NHK has learned that North Korea is considering sending workers to a drone manufacturer in Russia to boost production in exchange for training in how to operate the unmanned aircraft. Military cooperation between Russia and North Korea continues to deepen as Russia increases its production of drones amid its invasion of Ukraine. North Korea, meanwhile, aims to strengthen its military. From the publication of the Japanese media NHK.
And these Shahed drones are planned to be used in the war against Ukraine. Of course, and in the war against South Korea just as well. Ukraine and Israel are actually now the only two countries in the world who have experience and know how to efficiently shoot down Shahed drones. But now let's get back to Ukraine, to this horrific obliteration that Shahed drones did to Odessa residents this night. An overnight Russian drone attack on Odessa on June 20th caused significant damage to civilian infrastructure, including residential buildings, a university facility, a gas pipeline, and private vehicles. A major blaze broke out in an apartment block in the city center, destroying a four-story residential building. The blast collapsed walls and floors, and there may be people trapped under the rubble right now. Despite active air defense units working, a lot of damage was confirmed across the city.
A man died in hospital from his injuries. His identity is being established. 11 civilians and 3 rescuers were injured during the cleanup operation. 4 people, 3 of whom are state emergency service employees, were hospitalized in moderate condition, while the others, after receiving all necessary assistance, continue to receive outpatient treatment. Oleg Kiper, head of the Odessa Regional Military Administration, on Telegram.
This drone assault also triggered large fires along the coastline just as well, and shockwaves that damaged nearby recreational facilities. Emergency services continue to work at the scene to deal with the aftermath. And while rescues save lives in Ukrainian cities, paramedics and evacuation crews at stabilization points near the front line save dozens of lives every day as a routine. Our correspondent Alyona Gramova was there to reveal their story for you.
At one of the stabilization points in Donetsk region, located near the front line, medics are on duty for several days at a time. They are then replaced by colleagues.
Going to rest now?
I hope so.
Doctors say they cannot predict how a night shift will unfold. Evacuation teams bring wounded soldiers from the battlefield without prior notice.
You wake up feeling like someone's already there, or you hear sounds, someone walking, talking. There's no call, but you're already getting up.
While waiting for evacuation teams, medics meticulously prepare their workstations. As soon as a vehicle with wounded approaches, the work is in full swing. Just 15 minutes ago, this stabilization point was empty except for the medics. In that time, evacuation teams arrived one after another, bringing injured fighters. Fortunately, there are no critically wounded. It's mostly standard, primarily concussions.
Let's take a look. There it is.
Infantrymen sustained Akubara trauma on their positions. They say it was likely a 120mm mortar round that exploded nearby. They add that distinguishing the type of projectile is sometimes difficult, as Russia's army fires a variety of shells at the first line of defense.
Are there many drones? Like a beehive, buzzing like bees in hives? That's all you hear?
Another soldier injured at a firing position arrives next. Taras has a leg injury from a Russian shelling. Medics perform an X-ray. A portable device helps quickly diagnose the injury.
It is quite portable and simple because this plate, where we place the part we're examining, gives clear results. Even with a pneumothorax, for example, we're confident. Or if we need to know how deep fragments are in the head or abdominal cavity, whether they're penetrating.
Medics note that severe physical injuries have significantly decreased.
Fewer mutilations from strikes. Things have shifted. Before it was mines, tank shells, but now it's drones.
Another serviceman is brought in after a Russian FPV drone strike. Mihailo has burns. According to the doctor's preliminary assessment, his condition is moderate.
Relax. It's not painful. I don't like injections. Who does? We don't like them ourselves.
At any moment, doctors are ready to receive critically wounded fighters. Everything needed for resuscitation is at hand.
We have the capability and materials to tamponade thermostatic sponges for liver injuries, for example. With access, we can go in, tamponade it all, and stop the bleeding.
Once the soldiers' conditions are stabilized, they are handed over to an evacuation team, which transports them to a hospital for full treatment. During their shift, military medics at this stabilization point have treated up to 50 wounded. Reported by Aliona Gramova, Yevhen Karmazin from Donetsk region, UATV News.
Slovakia would only benefit from neutrality at a time when arms manufacturers are rubbing their hands in anticipation of war in Europe. No, it wasn't outdated Soviet paper that I just quoted for you. It was Robert Fico, Slovakia, as the prime minister of a NATO country, just by the way. He said that amidst the NATO summit. Without further comment, watch the reportage and try to have fun.
Slovakia would only benefit from neutrality at a time when arms manufacturers are rubbing their hands in anticipation, and Europe is speaking of war. That's what Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico said on June 16th, ahead of a meeting with President Peter Pellegrini and leaders of political parties, just days before the NATO summit in The Hague. However, Fico added that this decision is not within his power. It's worth noting that the Slovak Prime Minister holds a pro-Russian stance and supports continued imports of Russian energy resources. His statements came amid NATO's plans to raise the mandatory defense spending of member states to 5% of GDP, with 3.5% allocated directly to military needs and the remaining 1.5% to defense-related infrastructure projects.
Would neutrality suit Slovakia? I'm asking this question clearly and officially. What war are we talking about? Who are we supposed to fight? Slovakia must firmly advocate for peace and avoid any military adventures. Unfortunately, the next world war is already knocking on the door.
Fico's remarks about potentially leaving NATO were criticized not only by the parliamentary opposition, but also by parties within his own ruling coalition. Michal Šimečka, leader of the largest opposition party, Progressive Slovakia, called Fico's words scandalous. In his view, such statements undermine Slovakia's foreign policy and play into Vladimir Putin's hands. President Peter Pellegrini stressed that this was the prime minister's personal opinion and called the idea provocative. According to him, it's essential that support for Slovakia's NATO membership be a clear part of the government's official program. He also promised not to break NATO consensus at the upcoming summit on June 24th to 25th.
Being a neutral country doesn't mean you're so nice that everyone around you is your friend and nobody can hurt you. Neutrality means you're not part of major international institutions. And then you have to guarantee everything yourself. And in that case, it might not be about spending 3.5% on defense, but maybe 7, 8, even 10%, which we simply wouldn't be able to manage.
On June 17th, President Pellegrini warned that continuing discussions about leaving NATO could ultimately lead to a national referendum on the issue.
Let's not open the door to discussions that could endanger the security of the Slovak Republic. The security of our country must be the top priority, above geopolitics and above gaining a few cheap percentage points from several tens of thousands of voters.
As several Western media outlets have pointed out, no country has ever left NATO since its founding in 1949. Withdrawing from the alliance is a complicated process that, among other things, would require parliamentary approval. Slovakia has been a NATO member since 2004. Analysts emphasize that the decision to exit NATO is not up to Robert Fico alone.
The comment has no near-term practical implications, but is the latest in a stream of anti-Western positions Fico has taken since taking office for the fourth time in 2023. Fico has been on a collision course with Western partners, taking a pro-Russian stance on the war in Ukraine and sparring with the European Union over Slovakia's desire to continue importing Russian gas and oil, as well as domestic reforms affecting justice and media. From the Reuters publication,
according to analysts, Fico's increasingly anti-Western rhetoric may be part of a broader strategy to position himself for early parliamentary elections. He may be trying to attract voters from far-right parties, which are more skeptical of the EU and friendlier toward Russia, even though his party officially promotes a social democratic ideology. However, polling data suggests that if early elections were held, Fico's current coalition would be unlikely to retain a parliamentary majority. Reported by Kristina Dombrovska, UATV News.
And that was it for today. My name is Henry Keem. We are News Pulse at UATV English. We thank you so very much for your precious time and attention. We appreciate that a lot indeed, as it helps the Ukrainian voice to be heard worldwide. Well, please comment and subscribe. Join the community. Join the Ukrainian fight for freedom and sovereignty. Hope to see you soon. Goodbye.